Welcome to Tax Beat with Fitzroy Henry. Join us as we talk about tax issues of interest to you and your family. When was the last time you said, "I love my tax preparer"? Today we're talking about casualty and theft losses with Fitzroy Henry. Welcome, Fitzroy.
Thank you for having me, Lisa.
So, Fitzroy, first question. What is a casualty loss and what is a theft loss?
The IRS has defined a casualty loss to be the loss of property because of a sudden event. They must be identifiable, unexpected, and unusual. Some of those events are car accidents, earthquakes, fires, floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, vandalism, or even volcanic eruptions if you live in an area such as that. A theft loss, as defined by the IRS, is one of those of the taking of property under a legal act, meaning to deprive someone of the rights to those property or monies, for that most commonly known. They could be as a condition of blackmail, burglary, embezzlement, kidnapping, larceny, or even as we've seen in 2008 with the Bernie Madoff scandal with the Ponzi scheme.
When you mention a sudden event, what do you mean by sudden event, and how does that differ from like something that's gradual to someone's home or property?
The IRS is very careful to put this condition in the law because there have been a multitude of cases in times past where there were gradual deterioration or rotting of properties or corrosion that people believe to be casualties. But the fact that they put the terminology sudden event, meaning it must have just happened without any expectation. Now, termite damage has been one of the most hotly contested areas of the tax law when it comes to casualties, but they have made it clear through different court cases and acts of Congress that termite and rottingness of property is not a sudden event.
So why is this important from a taxpayer's point of view?
Generally speaking, a casualty usually involves the loss of everything, that property, that house, whatever it might be. But from a taxpayer's point of view, the government does afford you the opportunity to recover some of those losses through a tax deduction. Now, this tax deduction is somewhat technical to calculate. First, you must deduct $100 from the total casualty. Then you must exceed a threshold of 10% of your adjusted gross income. Now, this is done based on two tests. The first is a reduction of fair market value in the property that was damaged or lost, or a reduction in the basis of the property. So if you bought the property for, say, $100,000, and after the damage, the fair market value is reduced to $10,000, you would have thought to have had a $90,000 fair market value reduction. However, what you are looking at here is the comparison between what you paid for it and what you have lost in the market value of it. If the property was obviously totally destroyed, obviously you have a zero fair market value left and you have 100% fair market value reduction. So then you would take the less of the two, and that becomes your basis of the casualty. So back to my example, you bought the property for $100,000. You have a casualty that came along. You now have $10,000 of fair market value left. Before the casualty happened, that property was thought to be worth $150,000, and now because it's been reduced to $10,000, you have either $140,000 fair market value reduction or a $90,000 basis reduction. Governments say take the lesser of the two. So your basis here is $90,000 of loss. You then look and see if you have any kind of insurance reimbursement. If no, then you move on to reducing it first by the $100 and then the 10% of your adjusted gross income. That amount that remains will become your casualty loss. Now, casualty losses are deducted on your Schedule A itemized deduction form. So in years past where you might not have itemized, this casualty could provide the chance for you to itemize in the year it was discovered.
So you don't have to be a homeowner to take a casualty loss?
No, a casualty loss could be a loss of any property. In the sense that it can be something as simple as a very expensive collector's item like a rug, or family heirloom, a car, even diamond earrings. So if you did not itemize because you were not a homeowner, this is not to say that it cannot be the case now that you have a casualty.
How do you know if you are eligible?
First of all, you must have a loss. You must own the property that you lost, obviously. You can't deduct what you never had. So if, for instance, you owned a car and this car has been in an accident and is totally wiped out and you purchased it for, say, $20,000, and the insurance company says no reimbursement because for whatever reason, you now have a $20,000 of loss. So you can deduct $20,000 on your tax return as a casualty loss deduction, subject to the $100 and the 10% AGI cutback. Now, to be eligible, like I said, you must own the property. You must have a loss. It must be identifiable, and it must be sudden, unexpected. Can't be willful. You can't go trash your car and say, I want a casualty deduction because I want a new car. It cannot be willful. It must be accidental in nature. It must be sudden in nature. Furthermore, as we have experienced here in Northeast, Hurricane Sandy, where there's a widespread destruction from the path of the storm, casualties are going to be widespread. So it's a little bit more easier to identify what a casualty might be in that situation, which is why this was announced to be a federal disaster area.
Fitzroy, can you tell us what is the importance of being a federal declared disaster?
The fact that it was a federal disaster area affords you the chance to go back and amend your prior year's return. If, for instance, you weren't able to use all your casualty in the current year that it occurred. Generally, these things must be deducted in the year of discovery. So in 2012, when Sandy passed through and created this wide, massive destruction, if in this year you're not able to use those casualties, you can amend your prior year's tax return, which would be in this instance 2011, and use the current year's casualty to offset some of your tax liability from the prior year. That is one of the greatest benefits of having a federal disaster declaration made.
So Fitzroy, for our listeners out there that have been affected by Hurricane Sandy and they're in federally declared disaster areas, how do they prepare going in to see their tax preparer? What do they need to bring in? What questions do they need to ask?
Well, being that they have been through the storm, and is a possibility that they might have some damages or casualty of sorts. Like I've said earlier in this conversation, the one thing they want to do is to make up a list or have some idea or some proof or documents prepared when they walk into the office to have their taxes done, and their approximate values and the date they acquired them, and just ask a question. I've had these losses, I've had these damages, I've had these repairs, or whatever the case may be. Are these any benefit to me on my tax return? And if you're with a fairly competent tax preparer, they will go through the entire analysis and assessment to see if it's worth even going into making the deduction worthwhile.
Thank you, Fitzroy, for talking to us about the casualty and theft losses. And we hope to have you back soon.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
The previous program was a PrimalTweet.com production.